Hello friends, in this video I will explain two more examples for dependency preserving property in DBMS. In the last video I have explained what is dependency preserving property and one example related to that. Now in this video we will see two more examples. In this video we will see whether a given relation is decomposed into sub-relations so that sub-relations are satisfying this dependency preserving property or not. Okay, first just review this. What is dependency preserving decomposition property? Here DPD means dependency preserving decomposition property. Dependency preservation is a property that it is desired basically when you are decomposing a relation into two sub-relations. This property is desired, but it is not always mandatory. It is desired while decomposition that no functional dependency is lost. For example, in the original relation, I have some set of functional dependencies like A implies B and B implies C. If I divide this relation into sub-relations, so these dependencies must be present in either R1 and R2. So if I have the functional dependencies from R1 and R2, so the union of these functional dependencies will be a part of this functional dependency that is derived from the relation R. Okay. So while the decomposition, that is no functional dependency of the original relation is lost. So all these functional dependencies must be present in the union of the functional dependencies that are derived from the sub-relations. That is the point here I mentioned. Assume this is FD is the functional dependency set that is derived from R here. Now this relation is decomposed into R1 and R2. We can get the functional dependency set. Let us take here FD1. It is derived from R1, and FD2 is the functional dependency set that is derived from R2. Okay, the union of these two functional dependencies must be equivalent to the functional dependencies that are derived from the R. And you observe what is the plus symbol here. This is the closure. Basically you have to calculate the functional dependencies along with you have to calculate the closure of these functional dependencies. So that is the basic idea. You have to calculate the closure of all the attributes that are present in the functional dependencies. So let us take the first example, example 1. So there is a relation R with the three attributes A, B, C. The functional dependencies for this relation R is A implies B, B implies C, and C implies A. Now this relation got decomposed into R1 which contains AB attributes, R2 which contains BC attributes. Now the question is whether this decomposition is check whether this decomposition is dependency preserved or not. Check whether this decomposition is dependency preserved or not. So to give the solution for this, so the thing you have to calculate the closure of these functional dependencies for the relation R is equal to the functional dependencies of the relation 1. You have to calculate FD1 union FD2 closure. You have to calculate the closure of this union of the functional dependencies. Okay, so this is the thing you have to prove. So if this is equivalent, then we can say dependency is preserved, otherwise dependency is not preserved. Okay, so let us take the calculation of the functional dependency 1. I want to calculate the FD1 set. Okay, so here FD1 is derived from relation R1. R1 is having attributes A, B. Now let us derive the functional dependency set, calculate the closure of A here. How we can derive this? A can determine A. From this functional dependency set, A can determine B and B can determine C. The closure of A is A, B, C. Now among these, A is a trivial attribute, so I can remove this from this, and C is not a part of this relation R1, so I can remove this. Now the functional dependency here is A implies B. Like this I can say. This is the first functional dependency here. Then calculate the closure of B here. B can determine itself. In this, B can determine C here. Again C can determine A here. In this closure, B is a trivial attribute, I can remove this, and C is not a part of this relation, so I can remove this. Now the functional dependency is B implies A. Another possible subset for this relation is what? AB. Okay, so mostly you no need to calculate AB closure. Why? Because so this will give empty set. So AB can determine first AB and B can determine C. In this, AB attributes are trivial here, so I can remove this, and C is not a part of this relation, so this is empty. Okay. So the set of functional dependencies I can note down here. What is the first FD1 here? A implies B and B implies A. I calculated FD1. In this equation, I calculated FD1. Okay. So let us calculate FD2 here. FD2. So FD2 is calculated from R2. R2 contains BC, right? Now calculate the closure of B. So B can determine itself and B can determine C from B implies C, and C can determine A here. A. So in this, B is a trivial attribute here, and I can remove A because A is not a part of this relation. The functional dependency is B implies C. Okay. Then C closure, C can determine itself, and from this C implies A, C can determine A, then A can determine B. In this, C is a trivial attribute and A is not part of this relation R2, so C implies B. Okay, C implies B is a dependency I derived. And now no need to calculate BC plus, but however let us see here for your understanding. B can determine itself, C can determine itself from BC, and now from this C can determine A, right? Here B and C are the trivial attributes here. If you want to know what is trivial functional dependency, please go and watch my previous video and come back to this video. And A is not a part of this relation, so A will be removed. So BC implies pi, so this cannot be helpful for identifying the dependency preservation. Now here I have the functional dependency set. The one is B implies C, this one. Another one is what? C implies B. Okay. Now let us first identify the union of these functional dependency set. Okay, FD1 union FD2. FD1 is what here? A implies B, A implies B, B implies A, FD1, and the union of FD2 here, B implies C, B implies C, and C implies B. Now how you can say dependency is preserved? Now check all these functional dependencies one by one whether this functional dependency is present in this union. So A implies B, take this first functional dependency, A implies B is present in this. Then check for B implies C, whether B implies C is present in this. Yes, this functional dependency is present here. And now C implies A, C implies A, whether C implies A is there. Basically there is no C implies A in this, but there is a functional dependency C implies A indirectly in this relation. For example, C, I have C implies B here, C implies B, and B implies A. Based on the transitivity property C implies B, B implies A can be written as C implies A, right? So this C implies A is indirectly holds in this functional dependency union set, right? So we can say C implies A is already present in this union. So from this I can say that this decomposition is dependency preserved, okay? But according to this rule, you have to calculate the closures. You have to check the closure of these functional dependencies and closure of the functional dependency 1 union functional dependency 2, okay? So let us calculate the closures of this functional dependency FD. Here this is calculate the closure of FD plus. FD plus is what here? Here I have A. Calculate the closure of A. Calculate the closure of A. A can determine itself. Then A can determine B and B can determine C, right? A, B, C. Then calculate the closure of B here. B. B can determine B itself and B can determine C here. B can determine C and C can determine A. And then calculate the closure of C here. Calculate the closure of C. Then C can determine itself, then C can determine A in this equation, then A can determine B, right? So this is the closure of FD, right? This is the closure of FD, fine. Then calculate the closure of this one, FD1 union FD2. Calculate the closure of all the functional dependencies. Let first calculate the closure of A. So in this A can determine itself. Please understand, now I am calculate the closure of this. The point is, now here you have to check whether dependency hold in this dependency set or not, okay? Not from this relation. So why? Because I am verifying this whether all these dependencies are exist in this relation. If you want to prove this, now you have to calculate the closure here from this set of functional dependencies. So in this, A can determine A itself, A can determine B here, okay? Then B can determine C. A closure is C, right? Now calculate the closure of B here. B can determine itself, okay? B can determine A here, B can determine A from this, and A can determine B again, and B can determine C here. So B can determine C here, A, B, C again. Calculate the closure of C. C can determine itself, and C can determine B here, and B can determine A here. Here also you can observe the closure of these FD1 union FD2. So those are equivalent to the closures of this functional dependency. Now also we can say that based on this equation, okay, we can say this decomposition is dependency preserved here, okay? But basically I no need to calculate the closure. Simply based on these functional dependencies, I can say that whether this functional dependency is present in this union or not. If it is not present, you can say that decomposition is not dependency preserved. But what happens sometimes, so there is a indirect functional dependencies. So if there is a indirect functional dependencies, from these functional dependencies, so we can miss any indirect functional dependency. At that time you can say some functional dependency in this may not present in this one. So that's why, to avoid that confusions, better to calculate the closures. From these closures we can say all these ABC are determining here ABC, BAC, CBA. So these closures are almost equal. The point is the closure of A is equal to the closure of A in this set, and the closure of B in this is equal to the closure of B in this set. So like this, if you calculate the closure of all these functional dependencies, then you will be clear that those can be whether decomposition is preserved or not, okay? Let us understand one more example. Example 2. So there is a relation R with 4 attributes A, B, C, D, and there is a functional dependency FD here. FD is equal to A implies B, A implies B, and C implies D. Okay, this relation R is decomposed into R1. R1 is AC here, and it is decomposed to R2 here, that is having attributes B and D. Now the question is whether this decomposition is dependency preserved or not. Okay, the solution for this is what? Here you have to prove the closure of these functional dependencies is equal to the closure of the functional dependency union functional dependency 2. Okay, this is you have to prove. Let us calculate the functional dependency 1 here. So this can be determined from R1. Okay, R1 containing attributes A and C, right? Now let us calculate the closure of A. A can determine itself, right? A can determine B in this. A can determine B, and B can determine C. No, C can determine no. There is no attributes. A implies AB. That is the closure of A. Basically, A is here a trivial attribute, and B is not a part of this relation R1. This is R1. So we can say A implies nothing. Okay, A implies pi. We cannot derive any functional dependency from this. Then calculate the closure of C here. Calculate the closure of C. C can determine C here, and C can determine D from this FD. Okay. Now C is a trivial attribute. I can remove this, and D is not a part of this. So we can say C implies pi. We cannot derive any rule here again. Let us calculate the closure of AC. AC can determine AC here, and C also can determine D, and A can determine B, right? Okay, these are the functional dependencies. So AC is a trivial attribute, right? AC is a trivial attribute. D and B are not part of this relation, so AC implies pi. Now the functional dependency 1 is nothing, right? Empty set. Fine. Now calculate the closure of FT2. That can be derived from R2. R2 contains B and D attributes. Let us calculate the closure of B plus. Closure of B plus is equal to B can determine itself. B can determine C. No, C, then nothing. Okay. And also B is a trivial attribute. We can remove this from this. So B implies pi. So this is not useful. Then C here the closure of D plus. D can determine itself. D can determine any other attribute from this functional dependency. No. So we can say D only. And D is a trivial attribute. We can say D implies pi. This is also not helpful for us. Let us calculate the BD closure. BD can determine itself, and B can determine anything. No. D can determine anything. No here. Again, BD are the trivial attributes. I can remove from this. So we can say BD implies pi. So no functional dependency I have derived from this relation R2. So FD2 is simply empty. Now what is FD1 union FD2? Okay, it is empty set. From this C, now you have to check each and every functional dependency in this set, whether A implies B is present in this union. No. C implies D is present in this union. No. So from this we can say, so this decomposition is not dependency preserved. Okay, but don't say from here itself. How you can say this? You have to calculate the closures. Okay, FD closure. You have to calculate the closure of A, B, C, D. Okay, see the closure of A here. Closure of A here. A can determine itself. A can determine B. AB. Okay, AB, right? Now in this you can say there is no functional dependency, so this will be obviously empty. So we can say that this decomposition is not dependency preserved. So this is a very simple example. Hope you understand this. If you have any queries, please comment in the comment section. Thank you for watching.